So LEGO has recently revealed a Wall-E Eve BrickHeadz, and in my opinion it looks absolutely terrible, unfortunately. This set costs £12.99 in the UK and $15 or €15 in America and obviously Europe, and while that's cheap, in my opinion, people are willing to spend more on these beloved characters. Wall-E and Eve represent two of the most loved characters in all of Disney Pixar. Wall-E is one of the greatest films Pixar has ever released, and the fact that they've basically covered this genre with just a £12 set doesn't cut it in my opinion. They could have re-released the Wall-E they did back ages ago, which was only $40 to $50, and also gave us an Eve in the same scale, and I think it would have looked absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at this. And instead we get this BrickHeadz, which in my opinion just looks absolutely terrible, and I get it. Today's economy, people haven't got a lot of money, and releasing this Wall-E again along with this Eve is going to cost people about $100 to buy, I'd say, and that's a lot of money. And this BrickHeadz is only $15, so it's a big price gap there. But I still think with not a lot of money, you can build Wall-E and Eve better, capture the essence of the characters more and the magic of the film for a dead low price point. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. I'm going to be making a custom model of Wall-E and Eve with a low budget like this BrickHeadz set, but do a better job of capturing the magic and the essence of these characters. I'm going to be trying to portray these characters from a scene from the Wall-E film, that scene being this one. I'm aiming for this model to be something which you'd happily display on your work desk or even your bedside cabinet. I've done a lot of models in this scale of small dioramas for LEGO Harry Potter, so hopefully this Wall-E and Eve scene won't be too hard to make. Let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to build is Wall-E, but something to keep in mind is that the Wall-E and Eve BrickHeadz is roughly 155 pieces. So for me, the Wall-E and Eve I'm going to have to build is going to be less than 155 pieces because I intend to add some sort of scene or backdrop to my model, which is obviously going to use some piece count. So if I want it, at least below 200, my Wall-E and Eve is going to have to be probably below 100 because the backdrop is going to be 100 parts plus at least. So this is what I ended up building, and it's only 36 pieces, but I think it's too small. Like, I know the point of this project was to, make a small Wall-E and Eve and have a bigger backdrop, but I just think for the low piece count, it just doesn't really portray the character too well. I'm going to try again, and this time make it a bit bigger, use a bit more pieces, and try and build it at a different scale, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so we've got Wall-E, it's at a bigger scale. As you can see, it's got bigger eyes, it's actually wider. The tracks are actually implemented as a build rather than just using wheels. And it's also got a couple of features. So the eyes are able to pivot and rotate slightly, which is obviously a characteristic of the character. Also, this can be hinged downwards, and if we look inside, we can see there is a boot with a plant growing out of it, which is exactly what Wall-E keeps inside his stomach as well as other things. But basically, I think you're getting all the functionality of Wall-E for as little pieces as possible. We're at 42, so we just need Eve now to be around the same if we can, and maybe we can get a backdrop as well for a similar piece count to get it under 155, but it's going to be tough. So wow, look at Wall-E and Eve. I think Eve looks fantastic. I think the Eve looks better than the Wall-E personally. I think the continuity on the back looks a bit better as well. I think just the design of Eve is very slick, and I believe she's only 35 parts, so 77 parts. This is less than half the piece count, just about, as the other BrickHeadz of Wall-E and Eve, and I actually think the models are better as well for less than half the piece count. Now the challenge is going to be using roughly this piece count to make the rest of the model, which is going to be depicting a scene from the film, specifically this scene. Okay, so here is the final model, and you would have noticed it's 298 pieces, which is a shame because that's nearly double what our target was, but I just couldn't make this backdrop for much less pieces than that, nowhere near 155, so I admit that was hard, but I think I mean, this is around £24 on Bricklink to buy all the parts, which is less than $30, so it's not too much more than a BrickHeadz set, probably about £10, $10 more expensive, and it's definitely at least £10, $10 more of a better set in my opinion. So this is sort of a diorama, as you can tell, of the scene in space with Wall-E and Eve flying. Wall-E and Eve are both secured here. We've got a fire extinguisher build with Wall-E, which required me to change the hands on the model so he could actually hold the fire extinguisher, and you've got the smoke here using the ice cream pieces. The fire extinguisher, the Wall-E, the Eve, even the start of this sort of boost thing for Eve, is all secured in place. The way I've built the stars in the background, because originally I used studs but they were too large, I basically used little bar pieces, so it doesn't look great from the back. However, you can use a technique of just using a 1x1 plate instead, getting rid of this piece and simply putting it on the back, to sort of creating that same effect. But it depends how you want it, because this would make it look better from the back if you use this technique. But again, the actual star is going to be more embedded into the black brick rather than using the bar pieces, where the star actually comes out and is all flush and nice. So it depends which technique you prefer, but you could go with either. Let me show you a render of the final model now. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you for Joe for helping me putting this model together, and let's get into the outro now. I think the final model looks great, especially for such a low budget, and especially compared to that BrickHeadz set which LEGO's released. Now, if you want the instructions for this, make sure to check out my website at topicbricks.com. They will be live later today or maybe tomorrow at the latest. And if you want the instructions completely free of charge, then make sure to join my Patreon page, where for just $1 a week, you get a full catalogue of exclusive content and a load of other secrets as well. And you can even get a free custom LEGO model sent to you, all the parts completely free of charge, if you join Top of Bricks Premier, my highest tier. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you tomorrow for another LEGO video. I'll see you there.